Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star based on novel. So let's start. Even though they spoke in a friendly manner, both sides were extremely cautious. Since they needed to work together to enter the core area, hence they maintained the truce. However, the moment they entered the core, with both sides from enemy camps, they would fight it out for the treasure. Hee. Purple Clock Emperor gazed at Luo Feng's group. His gaze was sharp like a blade. Luo Feng looked over coldly too. Both sides didn't hide their hostility. No one was stupid, there was no need to hide it. Corpses. So many. Luo Feng and the others walked within the walkway. It was 1 kilometer wide and 3 kilometers tall, and was winding about the core. Even though the entire height of the tower was tens of thousands of kilometers, the length of this walkway was at least hundreds of thousands of kilometers. They would occasionally pass halls along the way. Bodies could be seen throughout. All of them are undying bodies, and the bone remains should be Sector Lord level. As for the Domain Lord and Universe level, anything below, they've long decayed into nothing. Luo Feng saw many bodies along the way. All these dead bodies experienced death at the hands of the 4 pinnacle races. The knights of the 4 pinnacle races may not have discovered the sacrificial towers. However, they at most hit the indigenous people. It couldn't block against the soul attacks. With a sweep of the entire continent, everyone died. Even the emperors died instantly, much less the other undyings and the weaker residents. Young. Piercing Tiger communicated. Luo Feng looked over. Have you noticed that all the bodies we've seen don't have any space, or world rings, or even weapons? He said. Ha. Luo Feng naturally understood. Night Emperor and Ice Blade definitely did a good cleanup. They both entered much earlier. Other than the core area, they've swept the entire tower of everything else. 6 emperors worth of treasures along with the large number of undyings about. Night Emperor probably got a lot from it. It sure makes me itchy. Night Emperor, how's the collection? Piercing Tiger was straightforward as he asked. I only managed to get 3 emperor corpses. The indigenous people cannot compare to the humans or pinnacle races, and their emperors were much poorer than normal emperors. He said directly. Still complaining about it? Piercing Tiger replied. They chatted mentally while walking. The 2 teams quickly reached the entrance of the core area. This entrance. Luo Feng looked at the huge 6-edged star. The 6 edges were the pathways, each with diameters of 10 meters. The pathways glowed with light within. It was almost like membranes surrounding each walkway. It gave off large amounts of terrifying energy. According to the information we gathered, the 6 of us have to head in from all 6 pathways. We will have to rush past the barriers and place the talismans in there. Only when they are placed in there together will the core area open. The treasure is within there. Night Emperor said. Right. Ice Blade nodded. Every pathway has many layers of barriers that normal officials cannot get through. It must be something the indigenous people used to stop their own later generations from rushing in. Layers of barriers. The Chi-Chang race Purple Clock Emperor looked coldly at Ice Blade beside him. Snorting, he said, Ice Blade, are you playing with me? The energy these pathways are giving off isn't weak at all. If it is a special attack, what will happen if we fall? Don't enter if you are afraid. Piercing Tiger snorted coldly. Coward. Luo Feng egged him on. Ice Blade, the helpers you got sure are cowards. Night Emperor mocked. The human side mocked them. It made Gold Kang, Ice Blade and Purple Clock frown. Purple Clock shot a glance at the human camp and snorted coldly, not speaking again. However, from their glances, it was obvious they argued mentally for a while. Luo Feng and the human side communicated secretly too. I've already tried several times. Relax, I'll lead the way in. Night Emperor said confidently. I have the Showu wings and general armor. The energy here can't possibly kill me. What's more, it's only the earth body. If something happens, it'll still be under control. Luo Feng was extremely confident. Knight Emperor, we trust you. Piercing Tiger trusted Knight Emperor too. After a while, after both sides concluded their conversations, they arrived before the entrance. Since they were already here, how could they possibly retreat? Enter. Enter. Both teams said. The human side followed a pathway, while the other side entered through another. 6 pathways, 6 warriors. This water screen is like membrane. Luo Feng flapped his wings and covered himself, forcefully rushing in. The water membrane was passed through, as its force was unable to stop Luo Feng's strength. He flew past the many layers. Even though each layer was stronger than the previous one, his earth body had over 10,000 Sector Lord's strength. Hence, he easily reached the end. There was a wall at the end with a triangular slot in the wall. This seemed to fit the talisman he received before. Luo Feng floated the talisman and gently placed it in. Ding! The talisman fit in and the engravings around the pathway all lit up, and the space quivered. Ding! The same sound could be heard from the other pathways. After a while, all 6 pathways shook. All the engravings within lit up brighter and brighter. This scene made Luo Feng and the others get nervous. Such treasures usually came with risks. How could one get rewards without any dangers? And everybody knew that the dangers wouldn't be too great. Hence, they dared to risk it. Even so, no one was fully sure. Within the core control room of the tower, a 3D image floated there. Through this image, one was able to see every portion of the tower. Naturally, when Luo Feng and the other just entered the tower, their image was captured as well. Other race invasion. Other race invasion. A 6-arm automaton puppet made of alloy sat in the control room. This was a puppet that resembled the indigenous people, but it was a living AI. Over countless years of looking over the tower, it evolved into a living AI. It has been countless years since it discovered an invasion from another race. Su. It immediately stood up and stepped through the water membrane beside. This membrane was the pathway to a god country. Just like the fixed pathway built within the Black Dragon Mountain Empire country, the fixed pathway had a relation to the distance. The further apart the two spaces were, the more resources it took to maintain the pathway. However, the closer it was, the easier it was to maintain it. Even the Undying of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire could maintain it. This pathway within the sacrificial tower was a very simple thing to create and maintain. Asterisk 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 asterisk. The AI appeared within a vast mountain range before a majestic palace. Gazing down from above, he could see the blur of living quarters. Countless Yangji indigenous residents stayed within this god country and survived. Su. A gold-robed 6-armed silhouette appeared. It was an indigenous clansman. Master. The AI said respectfully. Aren't you in the tower? Why have you come here? The gold-robed warrior said. Master, the tower has been invaded by other race warriors. The AI replied. Invaded. His eyes immediately gleamed like 2 lasers, causing the space around to crackle. After which he laughed loudly. Sacrificial tower. Our race's sacrificial tower. How long has it been? We've been hiding since forever, secretly surviving, fleeing the moment we got discovered, and struggling at death's door. Ha ha. We've finally been invaded. There are finally intruders. The warrior laughed loudly. Emperors, all gather here. Third brother, bring them here. The warrior instantly boomed throughout the god country. In a breath's time, 11 silhouettes appeared before him. These warriors all had 6 arms, rock-like skin and were bald. They were all obviously from the same race. And the energies they gave off were incredibly powerful. They were all emperor level. God Master. God Master. The 11 emperors all looked curiously at the gold-robed warrior. Why have you summoned us? The sacrificial tower we took back then, it's finally been invaded by other race warriors. The warrior said. The 11 emperors all shook with excitement, half of them breaking out with glee and tears. How many years has it been since our race faced extinction, and the knights were made targets by the 4 pinnacle races? We formed groups of tens of thousands and fled, every team taking the race's inheritance and treasures, hoping to rise again. However, the 4 pinnacle races were too fast. Only very few of our teams actually got away. Our team's 6 guides were leading the people in when the attack came. An emperor was filled with tears, his entire body shaking. We Undyings were safe within the core region. Luckily, our 3rd small brother was smart. In case of emergency, he left markers about and we teleported via God Country here to his God Country. Who knew that when we returned to the tower, everyone there was already dead. The 6 guides all died outside. Without the 6 talismans, we couldn't access the treasures within. Without the items and treasures, even though we have countless people here in the God Country, it was hard to nurture warriors. No talismans. The core area was completely shut. Even if we teleported into the core region via God Country, we couldn't leave it. We didn't dare return to Yang main continent. Didn't dare. We didn't dare gamble. The moment we were discovered, the 4 pinnacle races would rush over to kill us, and we would face complete extinction. It's been too long. This emperor with shaggy skin had tears streaming down his face, but his eyes gleamed with madness. Finally, there are finally invaders from other races, they will bring the talismans, and we can finally get them and get our treasure. Finally, the chance has come. The gold-robed warriors said seriously. The other emperors all had madness in their eyes. In the ancient era, a huge tragedy fell on the indigenous people of Yang main continent. Back then they were all normal people of the universe, and they didn't even have 10 knights in their race. Against the might of the 4 pinnacle races forging the battlefield, they were like ants. The knights knew that they were the main targets, naturally their chances of fleeing were low. Hence they swiftly distributed their treasures to their people. It was originally distributed to 100 little teams, with 9,900 other little teams that acted as decoys. The 10,000 towers had different levels too. These 9,900 teams were used as cannon fodder against the 4 pinnacle races, using the special energy of the sacrificial towers to hide the rest from scanners, and space ripples etc. Its material itself was however just average. Actually, the 100 inheritance teams had many differences from the 9,900 little teams. The inheritance teams had 6 emperors each. But the 9,900 normal teams only had 6 officials in total. The treasures within were different too. The 9,900 teams had little treasures. The inheritance teams, they were truly treasure troves, they were meant to truly succeed the race eventually. And obviously, the Tower Luo Feng and the others entered had 6 emperor guides, and it was one of the 100 inheritance towers. Asterisk 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 asterisk. On the mountain peak, the mad winds howled. The 12 emperors of the survivors exchanged glances, as their eyes were burning with madness. Let's go to the tower, the gold-robed warrior said. The 11 of them nodded. The 12 emperors swiftly went through the water membrane. Within the control room of the tower, the leading gold-robed warrior and the other emperors gathered within, and the AI appeared right after. Master, look. The AI pointed at the 3D image. This shows the entire tower. They are following the pathway now. 6 individuals. The gold-robed warrior stared hard at the 6 individuals who were clearly projected. Whether it was the Gold Eyes Winged Knight Emperor, Ice Blade, Gold Kang Emperor, Silver Winged Luo Feng, they were all clearly shown. There are humans and some weak races, the warrior said. Completely simulate their energies. A fat emperor standing beside ordered. Immediately, the 6 silhouettes were displayed as their original heights and sizes along with their energies. With the tower's simulation, at least 10% of their energies was emulated. The surviving warriors all looked on, the fat emperor saying softly, these 6 should all be emperor pinnacle, with special items, they may be even stronger. What? Third brother. Elder. The other warriors looked at him. This third brother was the cautious Undying back then, teleporting them into his god country. Including the others that were originally in there, that was the only way to keep his people alive. He was the strongest amongst the group, and he hardly ever meddled in affairs. The person usually managing everything was the gold-robed warrior. Third brother, are you sure? The gold-robed warrior looked at him. Yes, I, Chiokai Ka, will never be wrong. The fat warrior smiled. And the 6 of them should be from 2 different camps. Even though they are moving together, they are enemies, we still have a chance. Enemies? The gold-robed warrior and the others continued to observe, swiftly discovering the little traits that allowed them to discern that the 6 of them were from 2 different camps. This is our chance. Chiokai Ka said, however, the weak will be useless in this fight. Elder. Third brother. It immediately made some of the low emperors shout out. Pure is pinnacle emperor, while La Demo and Men Bu are high emperor. The 3 of them including me will make it 4. Big brother, you and the other 8 should return to the God country. He made the decision. You won't be of much help, and this fight will be very dangerous. We are unlike the other races with powerful techniques. When we lost our inheritance, we lost a lot of our techniques. The 8 of you will still have to lead our race. Go back for the future of our race. He gazed at them. The 8 low emperors were reluctant. Yes. Yes, elder. For the race. They finally all followed the elder's orders. Elder, Godmaster, you all have to come back. You have to survive. The 8 emperors were worried. Relax, we will send our true inheritance back to the race. Chiokai Ka waved, go on. The 8 of them turned around and left via the water membrane. Only the 4 strongest and the AI were left in the control room. The indigenous people of Yang continent used to live in their tribes. The main head of the tribe was the Godmaster, while the strongest was the elder. The elder was in charge of leading the tribe while the Godmaster managed it. 4 warriors. The elder Chiokai Ka, Godmaster Pure, La Demo and Men Bu. 2 pinnacle emperors and 2 high emperors. The enemy will reach the core area soon. The elder pointed at the projection. The core area has the treasures. Everybody knows that it's divided into 2 treasure rooms and 1 inheritance room. The 2 treasure rooms have all sorts of expensive materials, weapons and mysterious items. The inheritance room is our race's countless years of accumulation of techniques. With them, we will be able to pass on our techniques to the later generations to produce more warriors. He said. Our race is 12 emperors. All of them came from the disaster era, and none were produced after. This was mainly due to the lack of techniques to nurture the later generation. After all, the techniques we know are only a small fraction of the race's entire collection. Our first goal: to get the inheritance room and teleport it to the God country. Chiokai Ka said, pointing at the 2 rooms that were being projected. These 2 treasure rooms, one has to be opened by our race people, but we got the treasure within long time ago. The other room, however, requires one of our race people with a talisman to open. 2 rooms, one with less treasure than the other. According to what I know, the second room has tens of times more treasure than the first. He said, the second goal is to open this second treasure room. The other 3 nodded. The 3 rooms all had different levels of difficulty in opening. Opening the room with the least amount of treasure was something they already knew about. As for the other 2, one held treasures while the other held techniques. Even though the treasure is valuable, the techniques are more important to the race. Hence we have to first use all our strength to get the inheritance room. He ordered. Don't get tempted by the treasure. They may be useful to you, but they have little benefits for nurturing our later generations. Everything, for the race. Understood, elder. Men Bu and La Demo nodded. Understood, third brother. The gold-robed Pure nodded as well. All right. Chiokai Ka nodded. We have a good chance of getting both the treasure rooms and the inheritance rooms. After all, they have to be activated by our people. The others nodded. Naturally, we cannot fight it out with them. The moment we show ourselves, they will team up against us. He pointed at the first treasure room, the one they had opened in the past. This first room is the place where I've planned for them to fight it out. Elder, but we've emptied this room. Men Bu said curiously. We just have to put some things in. He smiled. The treasure case we got back then is still with me, it's just a box, only its material is valuable. I'll put the 3 cases that we got in the past in there, the cases will simply be empty. When they discover the cases and are unable to scan it with their god energy, along with some message from the deceased elders. Right. It would be strange for them not to fight. They would definitely think we were all dead, and there was no other life in the tower. Chiokai Ka nodded, it's not that we are smart, it's just that they would never expect for us to have survived. Remember, they don't know we are here, and that's our greatest advantage. Until the final moment, we cannot reveal ourselves. We should go arrange the first treasure room now. He swiftly left the control room and began his plan. He returned after a while. Within the control room, the 4 warriors looked at everything happening. 6 talismans. They have it, the core has been activated. We have to find a way to get at least one of them. Only that way can we activate the inheritance room and the second treasure room. The 6 pathways shook simultaneously. After revolving for a while, pathways opened at each end. Their paths were all clear. Core area. Luo Feng carefully covered himself with the Showu wings and entered, finally stepping through the pathway and landing on the ground. It was a vast hall. Gold Kang, Purple Clock, and Night Emperor were already standing there. Yang. Piercing Tiger landed too. The 2 of them exchanged glances and walked to Night. Ice Blade, Gold Kang and Purple Clock stood together as well. Be careful, we are already in the core region. Even though we had to rely on all 6 to enter here, now that there's no more need to cooperate, a battle can occur at any time. Knight communicated to his group. Yang, especially you. Your undying body is weakest here, that Gold Kang is extremely strong, he may target you first. Understood. Luo Feng nodded. The distant Gold Kang, Ice Blade and Purple Clock instantly became 3 beams of light and split into 2. Gold Kang flew one way alone while the other 2 took another path. It was obvious they were trying to get to the treasure faster. Gold Kang, Ice Blade and Purple Clock shot out in 2 different paths, looking along the pathways. Gold Kang is the fastest and strongest, I'll follow him. Night communicated, Piercing Tiger, you and Yang head in the other pathway. We cannot let the other 2 get the treasure. Understood. They must be dreaming if they think they can get the treasure. Piercing Tiger mocked. The 2 of them became beams of light and chased after them, while Night chased after Gold Kang. 2 teams in different pathways. As the entire tower was covered in complex engravings, it made it so that teleportation couldn't be used within. Hence the 2 teams could only rely on flying, and at this time, Luo Feng's strength could be unleashed, his silver wings flapped. Warping about the pathway, he swiftly accelerated. Piercing Tiger couldn't even keep up. Yang, go slow him down first. Piercing Tiger knew that he couldn't keep up with Luo Feng. After all, Luo Feng wasn't as strong as him, but that wasn't the reason he was invited anyway. Relax, leave it to me. Luo Feng got faster and faster. These were internal pathways within the tower, and with the core area only stretching several hundreds of thousands of kilometers, wrapping around the tower. It was narrow at certain parts, and the directions kept changing as well. There were spots where one had to completely turn 180 degrees just to follow the path. Luo Feng had to slow down rapidly and stop before turning. In such a pathway, having to slow down immediately after accelerating, they had to do this over and over every few kilometers. An emperor could easily accelerate and speed up, however to stop and start like this, it was tedious. Just like several bending pathways on Earth, no matter how good a car one had, he couldn't accelerate, and could only decelerate during a turn. To these warriors traveling close to light speed, bending every few kilometers, or 100 kilometers, it was a torture. The longest stretch is only a few hundred kilometers. I still have to slow down almost immediately. I cannot go fast at all, only maintaining low speeds for turning. Gold Kang roared, and his eyes were filled with rage. Ha ha, Gold Kang, your speed is shocking. However, in such a place, you cannot go fast at all. However, I as a NAE human with wings, I'm good at direction changes. Ha ha. Night Emperor caught up from behind. Humph. Gold Kang snorted and turned to look at Night Emperor. Rumble. A thick bolt of lightning shot out from Gold Kang's eyes. The bolt dispersed immediately after shooting out. It seemed almost like countless lightning snakes, forming a huge net that shot at Night Emperor, who was behind him. The pathway was only that huge, the net completely covered the pathway. Rumble. Night Emperor's eyes flashed coldly, he became a beam of white light, and forcefully broke through the net. However, it did affect his speed. You want to surpass me? Ha ha, Night Emperor, you keep on dreaming. I will always be ahead of you. As long as there is treasure, I will definitely be the first to get it. Gold Kang mocked as he turned and flew, occasionally shooting out more nets at Night Emperor behind. Night Emperor could only helplessly grit his teeth. As the two of them fought on, at the other pathway. Luo Feng was different, he naturally walked around. Since all the other warriors couldn't reach their max speeds, naturally Luo Feng couldn't do so either. However, he was proficient in changing directions, and this was a huge advantage for him. He easily reached close to 10 times the speeds of Purple Clock and Ice Blade. 10 times, how fast was that? He instantly caught up. You wish to flee? Luo Feng gazed at the two Chi-Chang silhouettes ahead. It was the two emperors. His caught up. Purple Clock turned and got a shock when he saw Luo Feng. This Yang is extremely fast. No problem, his strength is the weakest of the three. He should only be proficient in flying in such confined spaces. Ice Blade said confidently. Purple Clock will rely on your ability. My one attack will knock him back. He said confidently. Luo Feng was too fast. He rushed straight beside them and was trying to get ahead. Howl. Purple Clock opened his mouth and the ripples from his peculiar howl rushed into Luo Feng. The silver armor diffused the ripples of the attack, and the remainder of it hitting the cloud contact armor within. This completely blocked off the attack. Even though it was blocked, Luo Feng's speed was still affected. Humph. He flapped his silver wings fiercely and unleashed strike travel. Hua. He became a beam of silver light and shot through in between the two emperors. He was so fast that they had no time to react. Quick, stop him. Ice Blade said. Purple Clock, you are most adept at stopping. Bastard. He gritted his teeth and howled again. Immediately visible ripples formed a huge clock in the air. It flew extremely quickly. The speed of the attack naturally exceeded Luo Feng's flying speed. It trapped Luo Feng before shaking violently. Whang! It exploded as Luo Feng diffused the attack. Damn! Luo Feng shook his body as his speed decreased. Human, don't think about getting the treasure. It's mine. Purple Clock howled. Up! Luo Feng shook his wings. The Shouwu wings were indeed incredible. Even though he was affected by the attack, with a shake, he once again shot forward. The other two emperors had no way to keep up at all. Now I know why Night Emperor got him in. This human's flying is too peculiar, and his instantaneous speed is shocking. Even in such a pathway he can still go that fast. Ice Blade said. Purple Clock, with your little abilities. Ha ha, keep dreaming about the treasure. Luo Feng said. He turned sharply at the turns in the pathways and continued. Purple Clock soon lost sight of Luo Feng, and was even unable to attack him. Bastard. Chase. The two gritted their teeth and chased. Within the control room, the four indigenous warriors looked at the two chase scenes. They sure are incredible. The more intense the battle the better. In fact, it's best if they killed each other. Chiokai Ka said coldly as he looked at the projection. These other races, back then the four pinnacle races forged the battlefields, destroying our home and taking it from us. In the future, we will definitely let them taste the destruction of their race. Let them taste the destruction of their race. The four emperors gritted their teeth, as hatred was boiling within. They were still very clear that this was only a dream for the moment, and that they had no way to fulfill it now. Even if their race was completely present, and was countless times stronger than before, a pinnacle race would still easily crush them. After hunting large amounts of prey, the prey would naturally want revenge. However, if a hunter feared the prey, he wouldn't be a hunter. The weak are prey to the strong. The universe had many resources and trillions of races. Which race got more resources would depend on who was stronger. It was simple as that. Two pathways, the Four Warriors pathway, is closest to the first treasure room. That silver-winged human is the fastest, he's already reaching the room. Chiokai Ka said softly. Luo Feng followed the pathway, and swiftly examined the large rooms along the way. He could see that they were all empty, completely empty. He saw a room with an entrance size of 100 m, and it was half open. In it lay an undying body. This is a corpse of an indigenous person, he should have fallen from the spirit attack too. Luo Feng slowed down and got more cautious as he approached the different areas. Glancing in, there was a translucent platform within, and before it lay the body. Luo Feng could sense from the energy that it was a fallen undying. There were 3 normal book-sized silver cases on there too, and his eyes gleamed. He flapped his wings and became an arc, rushing into the room. The room had an area of 100 m. Luo Feng gazed about and ignored the body, as his attention fixed on the 10 m wide and long platform. It had a blur of words on it. The language was within humanity's trove of languages. Words from the indigenous people of Yang-ji main continent. Luo Feng had long learnt all the languages. With his level of consciousness, he could easily learn and use an entire language in a few seconds. This is. Luo Feng read and immediately understood. The words said, "Our race is facing extinction. Each of these 3 cases contain a world ring that holds large amount of treasures to be used for our race to rise up again. The case's sensors have to be activated by our own people to work, and no other race can activate it. What exquisite construction. AG9 metal infused with engravings." Luo Feng looked at the engravings on each case. "I probably need night-level strength to forcefully break it open. Just the construct alone should be worth over 1 billion mixed elements. As to opening it, who cares, I'll settle it next time." He smiled and instantly kept the 3 cases. "Leave the treasure." Ice Blade rushed in from outside, gritting his teeth and roaring. "The treasure is mine." Purple Clock's eyes were filled with madness. Even though they didn't see any cases, they saw Luo Feng standing within. It was highly unlikely of him to stop while searching for treasure. Hence there must have been something that made him stop here. Gold Kang. Yang got the treasure. Ice Blade roared. His undying energy spread out, and the howl immediately resounded about. Its speed was shocking, and the pathway Gold Kang picked did have a meeting point with the one Luo Feng picked. Treasure. Gold Kang's eyes gleamed. Yang got the treasure. Night Emperor was happy. The 2 of them immediately followed the direction of the howl and swiftly flew. Part 1 end here.